Hello good yo-yo people, I'm Nate and this is Let's Talk Yo-Yo. Today I am reviewing the Buster by Winging It YoYos. This is my review of the Buster. Alright, I've had the Buster for far too long now. Sorry, Winging It YoYos. I've been on vacation. I've tried to get this review out for a while. But with that said, I've had a little extra playtime with the Buster. And I will say I've really enjoyed playing with this yo-yo. I think, you know me, if you know my channel, you know very well that I love organic yo-yos. And this is a good organic yo-yo. It's very good. Overall, you know, I would kind of put this in this sort of kind of nostalgic sort of in the design, not just because it's an organic, but it has a couple other features that I feel like are a little bit more of that mid-school sort of feel as far as design features are concerned. One thing I do like about Winging It YoYos is that they machine all their yo-yos in the US, and I haven't really talked to the owners as far as that's an intentional thing. I know most yo-yos are machined in China now, and the quality is just as good. But there's something about machining in the US that I think is a good thing that companies still strive to do. This is not machined by One Drop though. This is machined by Foxland Precision. So if you're not familiar with them, they made yo-yos a while back. They haven't really made a yo-yo of their own for quite some time yet, but they do machine for other people and quality machining. The blast on this actually does remind me a little bit of the Pyramat sort of blast. It's a little bit more rugged. It's not quite like a sand blast or something like that, or a soda blast. It's gonna probably be pretty durable like the Pyramat is. Makes that color pop really nice. I like that sort of violet color. Let's take a little closer look and take a closer look at the profile of this. Now, I've been playing the Murmur a little bit today, actually, by Unspoken Yo-Yos, and this kind of just is a little bit reminiscent to me of that. It's not a copy of it by any means, but the gap sort of reminds me of that. You can see there's sort of a high-ish wall, not really a high wall, I'm putting air quotes around that, because it's not really a high wall, but you kind of see it pulled away from there. Let's take it apart, and you'll see what I'm talking about as far as the design of the actual. Take the axle out there. The axle's pretty short. I think it's a 6mm, maybe 8 possibly, but probably 6. But you can see what I'm talking about there. It has that high sort of wall, but it's got that little extra lip there so that you have less friction and so on. And there is currently a bug trying to crawl up my jeans here. So nice profile there, nice and bubbly. Let's take a look at the caps there. You can see that it's completely flat. It's not domed over. It's not concaved at all. It's fairly deep. So, you know, even though it doesn't really have an intentional IRG, you can kind of pop this up and probably get a decent thumb grind. We'll show that on the in the hand or on the string section. So, yeah, really overall pretty nice. It doesn't have a ton of rim weight, so you're probably not going to expect something that's going to be crazy stable or necessarily have a ton of spin time. Overall, it seems like just from the design, from what we can see in the hand, now we don't have like a cutaway on this, but from what we can tell, it looks like it's just kind of evenly distributed. Kind of reminds me of the Grail in that way. It's a little smaller in diameter. It definitely has that same sort of diameter and profile that like something like the Murmur has, but the cups are quite different. So it doesn't have that little extra center weight, mid weight that the Murmur would have, but has kind of an even distribution like the Grail, if that makes sense, and a little less rim weight than something like the Life. Okay? So let's go ahead and actually play it and see what it actually plays like on the string, all right? Whew, it has got hot. Officially, it's gotten hot here in Central Ohio. I just came from being in Tennessee though, and this is nothing though compared to that. I could not live in the South, I don't think. Anyways, no offense to you Southerners, but man, I guess I'm a Yankee, I don't know. All right, you know, like I said, I've had the, I don't know what I'm doing. like I said, I've had the Buster for a couple weeks now, and so I've had tons of playtime with it. Let's go ahead and actually throw some of those standard tricks and see what it plays like with those. You know, bearing wraps, or you know, just string wraps in general, I don't really feel like it's slowing it down much. You know, that gap is really nice. It's open enough, flared out enough, and that little extra, you know, mound there to help with that friction is really pulling away from the string just enough that that's going to be good for that. It's also going to be good for rejections, so it kind of pulls away from that a little bit. And the gap's not bad. It's fairly easy to hit. I'm looking right at the sun, so just bear with me. So yeah, it's really a decent gap. Great binds on that too. Like I said, the feel in the hand definitely feels like it's sort of an overall weight distribution. It doesn't feel like it doesn't have a ton of spin time, but it's got just enough. Okay, does that make sense? It has just enough for any tricks that you're going to throw at it, but it doesn't have like something like a spin time as maybe something like a bimetal, or you know, where it has a ton of rim weight, and it doesn't have a ton of stability. I would kind of put it in that same category as like the Murmur. You have to be kind of a little bit more intentional about keeping it on the plane, a little bit more so. It might have a little bit more stability than the Murmur, but it's not quite as stable of an organic as like the Life. And it also doesn't have quite as much spin time as something like the Life. But the weight distribution is quite a bit different, even though it may look the same. And organics are tricky like that. You can do these little subtle design moves that kind of move the weight around just a little bit, or increase the diameter or decrease the diameter in some way that really changes the feel of the yo-yo. And I know other designs and other shapes rather do the same sort of thing, but I feel like organics are a little bit mischievous like that. You look at it and you're like, oh, it's just another organic. But when you pick it up and compare it to something else, it definitely feels very different in the hand. And so even though like it has an overall weight distribution like the Grail, it doesn't play like the Grail. It doesn't play floaty like that. It feels like just kind of a general sort of laid back sort of, you know, even, man, I don't know. It just has that sort of commanding, kind of steady pace. You can feel it on the string for sure. It doesn't have that light nimbleness that something like the Murmur has. You can feel it, and you can kind of, but it's not dragging through the tricks. It's got a great, like I said, great sort of balance between that. It's not going to be a competition sort of focused yo-yo by any means, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a really great second yo-yo. Forgot to talk about also in the hand section that a lot of these, if you're following them on their Instagram, you'll see that they painted a lot of these, and this one of course is not painted. Now, talking to him, he said that most of the A grades will be painted. Now this one, I'm not positive. He sent it to me as a B grade and A grade, but it plays very, very smooth. It plays as smooth as an A grade. So I'm gonna say it is an A grade that just wasn't painted. I like them not painted, to be honest, but I know that the painted sort of quality is gonna appeal to a lot of people too, and I think that's a cool thing to offer, something unique as sort of an art piece that's been hand painted and handcrafted by somebody. So it has that sort of made in America sort of feel to it, right? I think that's cool. Let's go ahead and try some horizontal just to see what it plays like for that. Yeah, it's certainly falling there. Like I said, it doesn't really have an intentional IRG that locks in there, but it's deep enough, and it has sort of like a, I don't know, it's not an IRG, but it kind of curves around enough in that bowl that it's not just straight in. Now it's not going to be great for finger spins. It kind of helps to kind of tilt it a little bit like I did there and kind of catch it in the side of the wall there. If you kind of center it, it's going to wobble around too much and really get too much friction. So because it is flat, it's not going to be ideal probably for finger spins, but you can pull it off if you kind of tilt it. That grind surface isn't bad. Again, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the pier mat sort of finish. It's not going to get you super long grinds, but just enough. And the shape's not going to be ideal to kind of lock in on a finger grind anyways. But if you're doing something else, maybe like a palm grind maybe or something like that, it's not bad. It's just enough, and it makes that color pop really nice. Again, I like that purple, that sort of violet, I don't know, what do you call it? Lilac, maybe? I think that's what they're calling it. Don't quote me on that. Go look for yourself. All right. All right, I don't really have a trick for you today, but I have a concept, something that I've been, I don't know, uh, something that I've been kind of working on, and that's not it. But just sort of a mount, I guess you could say. So you pop up here, and you're gonna go to the back string. Yeah, and so now into this sort of maneuver. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it yet. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about. Those who, you know, when you find something that you like, what I like to do is just kind of play with it as long as I can until I find something. And if I don't, then I just kind of say, all right, that's not meant to be right now. And then a lot of times I come back to it though. And that's interesting. It's almost like a string picture trick, you know what I mean? That's not the right way out. Regens are really nice on this, by the way. Oh, except for that one. That was on me. Yeah, regens are really, really solid. Most organics tend to do really well with regen. So I like this sort of maneuver. Doesn't get into anything, but just sort of like a flashy, I don't know. I'll keep messing with it, see if I can come up with something more with that. So maybe you see what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna do a tutorial of it right now. But yeah, I don't know, something like that. All right, let's give some last minute remarks. All right, the Buster by Winging It YoYos. Yeah, you know, this is a really fun yo-yo. Really great addition to organics that are out there. You know, it seems like every company right now is trying to put out an organic. And I'm not opposed to that. I really like organics, so you know me. This one's a good one, and not all organics kind of hit the mark for me. I think just the ability that this has sort of an overall nice weight distribution, has that sort of grail look, but not grail feel. If that makes sense. It's a little smaller in diameter, but has just a sort of kind of nice steady pace. Doesn't have the longest spin times, doesn't have the longest, the greatest stability rather, but you're gonna have to be a little bit more intentional about keeping it on the plane, but just kind of a nice overall, just sort of throw in your pocket, hits every kind of trick that you kind of want, sort of yo-yo. I like it. I think it's a great second edition yo-yo, and I think a lot of you will probably really like the sort of custom painted look, and I'm glad that they'll do some that are plain as well. For people like myself. But yeah, you know, I like it. I think it's a great second yo-yo from them. And all right, go check out the Buster by Winging It YoYos. And as usual, good day and good yo-yo.